Alrighty, g'day guys. Welcome to the power rankings for MLP Vault Absorb season, whatever this one is. It'll be in the title probably. For those of you who are new to how I do things, which is probably everyone, I do power rankings a little bit differently. I just sort of go through the teams, give my thoughts on them, first impressions. Don't do a whole bunch of research beforehand. Yeah, just sort of go through the teams one by one, give them a score out of, we'll say do 10 for this video, and then at the end we'll recap the top 3 teams. So yeah, 12 coaches this season, little cup format, as pretty clear by on the screen. And we're going to get straight into it. We got Arvid, Stockholm, Stunwares. That's a demonic looking logo if I've ever seen one. We got the Scorbunny Snivy as the first 2 picks with Anorith, Almanite, Galarian Meowth, Skrelp. So yeah, first thing I see at this team is it really lacks a solid flying type. Flying spam in Little Cup is really prominent, because pretty much everything that resists flying in Little Cup doesn't have reliable recovery outside of pretty much a Juice Recycle. Magnemite is just about the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Yeah, so there's really like steel types are super rare in this format, so they're the main ones that want to take flying hits. Rock types, yeah, there's also not too many of those with reliable recovery, so not having a flying type is going to inhibit this team a little bit. And the second type that's missing, that is probably the second most prominent in Little Cup, is Dark. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the format, the main core, when you're drafting in Standard, the main core you want to get is your Fairy Dragon Steel. That's, everyone sort of knows that. They're the first few mons to go. In Little Cup it's a bit different. It's Fighting, Flying, and Dark. That's the core you want. Dark because knockoffs, because you want to stop those psychics setting up and sweeping. That's quite a prominent way to win in Little Cup, and it's just Dark Spam is really good because of the lack of fairies. Flying we've already mentioned, and then Fighting because, again, resist to fighting. There's not too many good fairies. A lot of fighting types get knockoffs, so psychics aren't as good, and defensive flyings just really don't exist. So the fact this team misses 2 of those types is probably not great. Yeah, so you got the Scorbunny with Libero, obviously. I think Scorbunny gets Assurance or something. It gets some sort of Dark type move, so that can like kind of remedy it there. Snivy is around 2 without hidden power, as Snivy really struggles to hit like opposing grass type, pretty much anything that resists, because unlike Superior, it doesn't get access to Dragon Pulse, so that really sort of hinders it there a little bit. I really like Anorith in this format. I think it's a really good mon. Round 3 might have been a bit early for it. Almanite, nice smash mon, but it doesn't have access to that sturdy juice, which I think Tortuga and a couple other the sturdy smashers were still around. Galarian Meowth. Oh, I do apologize. I've just realized I ordered these all by points, so they're nice and neat. This wasn't exactly the order that people drafted them in. Galarian Meowth, that was actually a snipe of me. I think it's quite a nice steal. It's not the fastest. It can be kind of bulky. Tough Claws. You got U-turn. A nice slow pivot into some of the sweepers. Maybe into an Ammonite Smash or Emma Chop. Scarf Dynamic Punch is a really nice set there. Skrelp gets Flip Turn, I think it's called this gen now, which is really nice with adaptability. Poison Point, Poison Touch, probably not going to use as much. Yeah, Scarf Skrelp's a really nice option because it can just fire off water moves. Spoink, decent low tier Psychic, obviously pitiful defense and attack. Really nice Spadef, decent speed, I think it hits 16 from memory. Yeah, Duskull, Togepi's really nice mon, I love that. He's managed to fit a fairy and grab one of the decent ones here. Serene Grace, we'll know what Togekiss can do with that, so maybe Togepi can use something to get that. Duskull's really nice mon. Very fat defensively, got a lot of support moves, nice ground immunity, which other than Duskull, this team's looking very heavily reliant upon Snivy to take ground type attacks. Yeah, so overall, speed tiers, the last thing I like to talk about. In terms of Little Cup, we talk about what speed they can hit rather than the speed tiers themselves. For example, Scorebunny and Snivy both hit a max speed of 17, even though they're 6 points apart. So Anorith hits, I believe that's 18 speed. That's a really nice mark to hit. You definitely, in Little Cup, it's almost a must to have at least 1 or 2 mons that hit 18 or higher, because 17 speed is basically like your base 100 in Little Cup, or the equivalent of what base 100 would be in Standard. So yeah, it's not a bad team, but I think there's definitely some holes. Yeah, as Snivy's going to have to do a lot of the defensive work, taking water type attacks, taking ground attacks. Yeah, you got Scrolp for that, but for waters, but I don't know. It's just I think a couple transactions in this team would go a long way. So for rating, I'm going to start out sort of benchmark 6 out of 10. So now we're going to move my cursor across, and we got, when it decides to load, we're going to have Atches. I'm going to butcher everyone's name. This is actually someone that got first pick overall, I think it was, or second. Got the Vullaby. Vullaby's broken mon. Not really sure why I allowed it. Yeah. Vullaby, Mudbray, Squirtle. That's a really nice core. Squirtle having the ability to smash. It hits 15 speed, if I'm not mistaken. 14 or 15, really nice tier to hit for smash. It gets rapid spin, so it's removal, which is not too common in Little Cup. Stops the pressure on Vullaby in case you come up against a team that wants to stack. Speaking of stack, you do have only one rocker on this team, so if you want rocks, you have to bring Mudbray. You do have the webs with Swaddle and webs plus spin, really nice, but Mudbray's going to be forced into rocks, and if you just look at that attack stat, base 100, that's the same attack stat as like a Flygon or a couple other really nice heavy hitting mons. Scarf Mudbray is a really nice set. It gets access to things like Heavy Slam. It gets obviously your Rock Slide, your Earthquake, your High Horsepower, and another couple other nice moves. Juice with that stamina is really good to just sit there. Rest Talk with Spadef again with the stamina. I just think pigeonholing Mudbray into being your only rocker is just not great. There's also an error on the dock. I'm going to move my cursor before that annoys anyone else. It says Pancham's a dark type. It's definitely a fighting type. I'm going to make a note for myself to fix that after this. But yeah, so you've got Double Dark. I like Alolan Meowth as a mon. I think it really hits that 19 speed too, which is really nice. But looking at the rest of the team, you don't have anything that even hits 17 outside of that. So Scarfers are going to be able to go Monostra, or even base 17 Mons are going to be able to not having to worry about speed tying. Swaddle is going to probably need to come more than it wants to. On paper, this team looks really nice, but there's definitely a few holes there. Snubble, really nice mon, like that mon. Intimidate's really nice, especially for checking those fighting types. Snubble with Juice, and then it gets Thief. Really nice way to take advantage of some things. Gothita, I feel like, is a weird mon on this team. Gothita's really good. Well, it's obviously a trapping mon. What you want to use it as is you trap certain types that really hinder your sweepers from going to town. And Gothita's best at trapping fighting types, poison types, things that can't hit psychic very well. And I mean, I guess you have a bit of trouble with fighting types, but then you've got Vullaby, the best flying in the format. And you've also got Snubble, which is probably the second best fairy in the format. So I don't think you really have too much trouble with fightings. You also got Coughing, very bulky, great resist. And then if you look at poisons, like you've got one of the best grounds. You've obviously got a psychic. I don't think Gothita was quite the right pick for this team. Yeah, so that's, on paper, the first few mons look really good, but looking deeper into it, I think I'm going to give this, don't get me wrong, I like this team a little bit more than the last one. I'm going to give it a 7.5. just because like there's the raw power of Vullaby, Mudbray, Squirtle, Pancham, Snubble that are gonna come most weeks. And yeah, so now getting in, we got the Akron Altarias, coached by my good buddy Tyler. He took over mid draft, made the last 3 or 4 picks, and then made a transaction. So can't pin Tyler too much on this team. Although the first 2 mons, Galarian Farfetch'd and Galarian Pony, ridiculous. One of them hits 19 speed with the highest base stat total in all of Little Cup, 410. It means it can be run bulky, it gets recovery, it can be offensive on both sides, it can be mixed, it can be fast. It's got Pastel Veil, which means you can't poison it or toxic it. Not that Toxic's huge in Little Cup, that's still another thing. Really, really solid mon. Also Psychic type, it gets plethora of coverage. It gets, I think, Drill Run, it gets Mystical Fire, I know that. It gets Play Rough, it gets Psychic coverage on both sides. This mon is going to just be a pain to prep for. Kind of glad I don't have to play it. Galarian Farfetch, that thing just hits like a truck. Scrappy, Intimidate doesn't work. Ghost types, who cares? This thing can click Close Combat, it can click Brave Bird, it can click Leaf Blade. Yeah, and if for some reason you go up against someone that you can afford to run not Scarf, which is Scarf Farfetch'd is what you're probably going to be seeing more times than not. You can run like something cheesy like the Stick and just go for high crit moves, or you could run an Eviolite bulky set. It's just, yeah, a horrible mon to try and deal with. Cutiefly, very fast, another mon that hits 19, so we've already got speed tiers. We take a shit all over the last team because we have a couple of fast mons. It also gets Webs plus Farfetch, that's terrifying. Please, no one let me play that. I don't want to at all. It's a fairy type, although in terms of being defensive, really not the greatest. Its stats look pretty terrible, but Webs, it gets Carmine to set up. Obviously, Quiver-Dance is banned. It's the only Quiver-Dance user in Little Cup, and that's banned because +1 speed, special attack, and special defense in Little Cup is nutty. But yeah, so fast pivot, nice web user. Yeah. Then we got Tortuga. Tortuga, water rock type, it gets sturdy, it got Endure and it got Rock Blast, as well as a couple other moves this gen, which is like really nice for it. When I was talking about sturdy smashes before, this is one of the ones I was thinking of. If you bring this mon in and there's no rocks, which, I mean, removal might be a little bit of a problem for Tyler, but we can make it work. Even if you have to run boots, you bring this in, you get a free smash unless they have basically a bullet seed or like an arm thrust or a mon like that. You've also got like Swift Swim, can be very niche. I don't see it getting any use on this team. Solid Rock, I think that's where you take less from super effective hits. Again, you're going to be running sturdy on this mon. Got really nice attack and decent special attack stats with good stabs to hit everything. Also get access to like Ice Beam. I think gets ground coverage in there somewhere. Obviously your rock and water coverage. So yeah, that hits pretty much every mon. It's a little bit slow. I think it only hits like 13 speed, so you can't actually outspeed base 18 Scarfers, which is a bit annoying, but as I said, with Sturdy Juice, you got your Berry Juice, you go down to your Sturdy, you bring it all the way back up to full, and they need to effectively hit you 3 times to knock you out, which is terrifying. It also gets Aqua Jet for priority, +2 Aqua Jet to out-prioritize some other priority attacks that might want to come in, like a Muck Punch. Yeah, Archon, 112 attack, Defeatist. It does exactly what you think it does. It hits hard, and it hopes not to go below half health. Yeah, the last few mons pretty decent. Looking at this, we're going back to that Fighting, Flying, and Dark core. We've got the Houndour for Dark, we've got the Archon for Flying, and we got the Galarian Farfetch'd for the Fighting. The Dark type and the Flying type, not my favourite mons, but they're still very nice. Water type attacks for this team, though, are going to be tough. You have Shroomish, and only Shroomish to take on water types. And if that water type gets Ice Beam or gets, say for a Wingull, for example, I know the matchup finder's just on the screen, it's set to Parko's team, which we'll get to. A Wingull just rips this team. You basically have to run like defensive Tortuga to take it out. Or like some weird Electrike. Not a fan of Electrike, but we'll see what it does. It hits 17 speed, it gets Lightning Rod, it's got a few cool abilities. Lightning Rod with Swine Up as you ground, not the worst. I mean, it could be worse. Overall, I like this team. It's got it's got 3 rockers. It's got a couple of removers. I think Cutiefly gets defog. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. Defog, Cutiefly, defog Archon. Got some nice offenses, a few holes, but I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. I think it's the best team so far, just because it's the most well-rounded. We've also only got through 3 teams. We're going to need to pick up the pace here a little bit. We got Yeezy. We're going to do next. I think he's next. Yeezy's got the Sun team. Sun team with Mienfu and Tyrant, Galarian Slowpoke. Yeah, this is an interesting team. I've actually helped my buddy Tyler prep for week 1, so I've had a look a little bit more into this team than I thought than the other ones. Mienfu, don't need to say anything. Best fighting type of format. It's a top 3 mon overall. It's ridiculous. Vulpix Bulbasaur, terrifying Sun Sweeper. It hits 15 speeds. That means it at best you can speed tie it with a Scarf based 20 speed mon, which is like Diglett, Elekid, Voltorb, and like 2 others. So not everyone's going to have that. It's going to outspeed everything. Tyrant, similar to the sturdy Smash mons, we got this as a sturdy Dragon Dance mon with base 90 or 89 attack. Hits 15 speed. Yeah, hits 15 speed with the Bulbasaur. So yeah, that +1, it hit 22 speeds, you outspeed all the non-Scarf metagame. And then at 2 Dragon Dances, you outspeed everything. Helioptile, it's alright. It's very frail. Only hits 17 speed. I guess you've got it for Dry Skin and then Solar Power for the Sun. So it could be nice as like Scarf Hyper Voice. I can see doing a bit of work. Drangmo, to be honest, I don't see why this mon's on the team. It's another Dragon type. Dragons are pretty scarce in Little Cup, but they're not the most important thing. Drangmo really just runs Dragon Dance. Galarian Yamask, Ghost type, fits alright. Ground type, you definitely need one of those, but it doesn't get rocks, which means the only Stealth Rock user on this team is Tyrant. And as I said, Tyrant is phenomenal at being that sweeper, being that Dragon Dance mon, and you don't want to run rocks plus Dragon Dance on the same mon like ever. So yeah, I can see Bulbasaur being terrifying for this team, but I can also see a lot of people using Sashes, because if Tyrant doesn't set rocks, then they have no hazards. Their only removal is Fletchling. Yeah, it gets priority defog with Gale Wings, but it only hits 16 speed. It's only got base 50 attack, 43 and 38 in defenses. It's not really the Talonflame of Little Cup that everyone thought it was going to be. Its main niche is running no item and acrobatics, so you get priority base 110 attacks. With it being your only defogger though, you're probably going to need to run boots on it just to get that defog off. But yeah, looking at the fighting, flying, and dark core, Purloin, it's a nice dark, but it's very frail. Its Prankster Shenanigans is really only what it's known for. Prankster Sun, which is a really nice option as a secondary setter for Vulpix in case that goes down, and you don't really have to at all costs prioritize keeping Vulpix alive, so that Bulbasaur is not completely useless. Yeah, so it's not the worst dark, not the best. I've already talked about Fletchling and Mienfu. Overall, this team is slow. It doesn't hit base 18 speed. It doesn't have some rockers, and I'm actually going to go back down and give this a 6.5. The first 4 mods really bring that up, stopping it being a 6 like Arvid's team. So that's easy. Gonna move on. Yeah, I'm gonna get through these a little bit quicker just because we need to. We're gonna go to No and his Valaria Kingdras. You got Abradorba, Chinchou, Mankey, Trubbish, all mons that I really like actually. Pikipek, another mon. Skillink, Bullet Seed, really annoying to deal with. It means things like rock types and ground types that would normally resist flying have to worry about taking a bullet seed, so it's really only steel types. But then you get, I think this thing gets flame charge, which is really annoying to deal with. Caterpie, let's just pretend it's not there. It's not coming to a game. It's not doing anything. It's a useless mon. Pooch, as a dark type, really don't like it. Trubbish, one of my favorite mons. I have 6-0'd a couple of people with Trubbish in the past. I do have to play No, so I'm not going to reveal that set until after week 2. One thing I see is fighting types. If you go down his list, his resist to fighting are Abra with base 15 defense and Trubbish. Trubbish is phenomenal fighting resist, but it's the only one, and you've got Poochie and Elitleo shield on all week to it. You got Piggy Peck, your flying doesn't resist it. It's going back to those Mienfu and the Farfetch teams we've already seen. Fighting moves are going to be a problem, because if you catch Trubbish on a predict and get like a ground type move or a Zen headbutt on it, it's going to be really tough. Looking at speed tiers, Abra obviously hits base 90, it's phenomenal, and then from there we all hit base 17, apart from your slow mons. I guess Quick Feet Puchiana can be like a speedy mon, but it's got base 30 and 35 defenses with 35 HP. Living, lasting a turn without protect to get that toxic orb off, to get your Quick Feet is a bit, yeah. Chinchou, really nice water absorb mon, means Trico. Doesn't really have to take water type attacks. You've got your ground type is Drawbar, that's right, of course it is. So Drawbar's not as pressured to take electric type attacks. The dual immunity, or like finding out which immunity is a real big part of playing around Chinchou. It's a really nice mon. Mankey, Defiant. If you can get it in on a defog and click Scarf CC against something, even if you're clicking it on a flying type that's resisting it, fighting is just such an offensive type, such a great offensive type in Little Cup that you can kind of just sweep teams. That's what it does. It's scarfed. It can run Life Orb some weeks against slower teams, but it's a bit of a one-trick pony, but it does that one trick very well. Yeah, look, it's a good team. In terms of removal, you've got Drawbar with Spin, you've got Picky Peck with Defog. 2 removers in Little Cup is fine most of the time. Those are 2 mons that you also really want to bring most weeks, so that's even more fine. You Rockers, a Drawbar, and a Shield on. You got Spikes and T-Spikes and Trubbish. I actually really like this team. This is getting an 8.5 out of 10 for me. 8.5 out of 10 for No. And here's Valaria Kingdras. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say with this team. We're going to go Double A next. Double A and his Twin Lake Timbers. Timber, he got the mascot pick. I really wanted Timber round 1. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of like super hoping for it. But yeah, this Timber, Ferroseed, Carve, Torchic, Talo, Solosis, Joltik, Krabby, Bergamite, and Wooloo. So he's gone the route of a 10-mon team, and he's picked 9 good mons. Well, actually 9 solid mons and a Wooloo. Wooloo is going to come to one of the 7 games probably and do something niche with Fluffy. Normal types you really want to be running like offensively, because ghosts aren't as prevalent. As I said, rock types and steel types aren't as prevalent, and rock types don't have the recovery to be taking repeated hits. Yeah, so Timber, it has coverage for every mon in the format. It's got guts, so it can do 50% to every mon in the format at least, so it's almost impossible to switch into. You've also got Iron Fist if you want to run like an Eviolite set. It's great Will-O-Wisp Absorber, great Toxic Absorber, not that Toxic's too prevalent in Little Cup. Drain Punch, it can be run very bulkily, and it's a really hard time. It's a really hard mon to take down. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's a phenomenal mon. Offensive Psychics, offensive Flyings are really how you get it. I will say, though, Flyings could be a little bit of a problem for this, because we don't have a Rock type. Our Steel type is also part Grass, so it's neutral to Flying. Our Electric type is also part Bug, So Scarf Flyers against this team are going to go nuts. And remember, flying is one of the most prevalent types offensively in Little Cup. It's part of that core that I keep mentioning that you're all probably sick of hearing. But yeah, moving on, we've got Carvana, very nice mon. It hits 17 speed, but it's also got the speed boost. You get a protect, you outspeed base 16 Scarfers, you kill something with an Aqua Jet, you get another boost. It's frail as hell, base 20 in both defenses, but its type coverage is really nice. It can be run both specially and physically. You can run Sash, you can run Life Orb, you can run... don't run Specs or Band ever in Little Cup. Life Orb is basically the same thing. But yeah, you can also... There's a whole lot of things. I will say, one thing, AA, don't do what I did last time I ran Carvana. I got to a semi-final match, and I ran Rough Skin instead of Speed Boost, because I forgot to change the ability, and that pretty much cost me a final win. Because I'd played the finalist before, and I think I had to beat him in regular season, and just had one of those matchups that it was going to be really hard for me to lose. But yeah, so moral of the story, don't run Rough Skin Carvana, like, ever. Unless for some reason there's a Water Shuriken mon in the tier, or like I don't even think there is, and you want to run Rough Skin Rocky Helmet to be able to... I don't ever do that. Torchic, it gets speed boost as well, but it has like 4 coverage moves. I'm going to be honest. All its coverage moves are physical, and it doesn't get a physical fire type move that's any good. So you have to run Mixed Torchic every week, or you just have to hope they don't have a fire resist, which every team has a water type, so why are you hoping that? It's decent, it's not very fast, so you need to hit Protect, or you need to kill something really slow to get that speed boost off. Personally, it's just not my favorite mon. I think AA might find it underwhelming this season. It's sort of does the same thing as Carvana, and when you're drafting 9 real Pokemon, you don't really want to have 2 mons that do the same thing. I get the idea that it like kills the bulky grasses and the things that want to resist Carvana, but the main things that resist Carvana are water types, and you don't have the best way of breaking those, with Ferroseed being so defensive. Talo, phenomenal, hits 18 speed. 18 or 19? It hits 19 speed, excuse me. Yeah, so it's got Scrappy Boom Burst, Life Orb Talo with Mixed, or you can run like Flame Orb Facade Guts, that's busted to strat. Solosis, a lot of people have used it well. I'm just not a fan. Just because the defenses are not great. Knockoff's really prevalent, yet you get base 105 special attack, and yeah, you can set Trick Room, your base 20. But as I said, like, base 20s and base, like, 15s hit the same speed tier. And as well as base up to, I think, from 14 to 22 hit the same speed tier. 13 to 22. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it's... I don't know, it's not... It'll be interesting to see how AA uses it this season. Just because it's just, that's more a personal thing for me. I can still see it as a good mon. Krabby, it's another water type. It's another physical water type that wants to sweep. Likes to run agility a lot. I don't really think this mon's necessary when you've got Carvana. As I said, when you're drafting 9 real mons, you don't want 2 things filling the same role, and Krabby likes to sweep. It also has pitiful special defense and HP. Decent defense, so it can live hits. It often wants to get an agility off and then hit sheer force, like liquidations or whatever stab it gets. Rock slides. Bergmite, it's removal. It means that... Well, that's actually... This team's got a lot of removal. It's got Timber, Torchic, Talo, and Bergmite. But its rocks only come from Ferroseed, which isn't a problem. Ferroseed can usually afford to fit either rocks or spikes on there. But it just sort of means it's kind of one-dimensional for the opponent to predict. Yeah, looking at this team, I thought it was going to be a real contender to take that top spot when I first saw it. But after seeing that there are just a bunch of mons that sort of double up on the same role, and I mean, even with double water types, Ferroseeds are only water resist, like real resist, or like a Hydro Pump or something. Fighting types, really, you got to come... When you're checked to a physical fighting type as a mon with 40 defense, or you got Joltik, but I mean, like, every fighting type gets Rock Slide these days. I'm just, yeah, flying type. I'm gonna give this a 7.5 out of 10. At the end, I'm gonna make a graphic and show um, all these mods. I'm gonna talk like for 2 seconds about my team. I'm not gonna rank it or anything. I just Apom, Staryu, Drifloon, Onyx, Stunky, Riolu, Clink, Mime Jr., and Turtwig. Basically, what I was thinking is I got a couple of mons that I wanted to use. Apom, it's obviously banned tail slap wise. You got some fake out Fury swipes. It gets really nice coverage. It hits 19 speed. Staryu removal. It got flip turn this gen, and it's got like really nice speed. We got that flying type and Drifloon. This was a mon I've never used. I just wanted to give it a shot. Onyx, phenomenal mod. Dragon Dance this gen. Also has Rock's Head, Sturdy, and Weak Armor. It's really good at getting rocks up. Stunky is my secondary removal. It's my dark type. It hits 18 speed, so I've now got two 19s and an 18. Riolu's a fighting type. It's got Prankster Shenanigans. Clink was my Fairy Resist, my something else resist, my normal resist. I don't know, I needed to resist something. I can't remember. Then Mime Jr. is a fairy. Again, like, quad resist fighting, it's kind of nice. Since my poison doesn't resist it, and I don't want to be telegraphing that I'm going to Drifloon on a fighting type every time. And then we got Turtwig for some more rocks, for a ground resist, and a couple other things. But yeah, that's my team. Not ranking it. Who are we up to? Silent. While this loading, I'm going to let my voice take a bit of a rest. It's taken a beating doing these first 6 teams. You know what, we've been going a while. I'm going to make this into a 2-part series. Silent is up on the screen. He's my week 1 opponent, so I know probably the most about this team than I do at any other one. And you're going to find out in the next episode. Well, the next part of this, part 2. I'm out of here. Later, guys.